Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, TV shows, movies, books, animes, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. And today I will be doing a review on Tiny Pretty Things by Sonia. And we talked about this in the TV show review. I cannot pronounce the women's names. I'm not about to butcher it. As you can see, I have some points to be made in this video. I would like to start the video off by saying that the book is 1,000 times better than the show, but I mean, when isn't it? So the book, Tiny Pretty Things, is actually written in 3 separate perspectives. Gigi's, Bette's, and June's. I will be going through these 3 main characters' point of views, perspectives, everything they go through, how different they are from their TV personas, etc., etc. Book Bette and TV show Bette are very similar in the way that they are very, very powerful entities at this school, as well as extremely cruel to the other girls. I think where they slightly diverge is how much more abusive Book Bette's mother is than like TV Bette. Like TV Bette's mom is like pretty bad and garbage, but from what we could see, like she's bad, but like Bette's behavior seems like an exaggeration from from how bad her mother is, versus Book Bette's mom is absolutely garbage. I'm talking about once Bette got into ballet, her mother used to starve her and made her practice so much that she now has a knee injury that to this day still constantly flares up. Now where TV Bette and Book Bette differ, Book Bette is slightly more likable. And when I mean likable, I couldn't understand how TV Bette had any friends. Bette, if you got in Bette's way, Bette took you down. And it did not matter whether or not you were friends or not. If you were in her way, you were in her way. Versus Book Bette seems pretty loyal to her friends and pretty loyal to the people that don't do her dirty. If you stick right by Bette and don't get in her way, she takes good care of you. And she definitely does take good care of her friends. Now, the people she sees as threat and as competition, oh no, Bette gets you out the way real quick. Oh, Bette does some terrible things. But she's not terrible to her friends, unlike Show Bette, who's just terrible across the board. And I don't understand how she has a boyfriend, how she has any friends. It does not make sense to me at all. Again, Bette is still a bad person, but she's good to some people. And she loves her friends, at least somewhat. So again, her having friends makes sense in the book. She's also, I don't like calling people crazy, but since Bette is a fictional character, Bette's crazy. And like in the show, Alec breaks up with her and goes out with Gigi. That same thing happens in the book. And she has this, like in the show, she moves past it. In the book, she is tunnel vision on the fact that her and Alec are going to get back together. It's inevitable. I'm truly surprised I didn't hear her refer to each other as Endgame. I hate that. But like she is like she sends like in like serial killer format his love letters to her. Like Bette sends Gigi like serial killers do. They cut out the letters and stuff from love letters that Alex sent to Bette, and she sent that to Gigi. And I'm sitting here like, this girl has problems. She has issues, as well as Bette still has a drug problem. The only difference is in the show, she was popping painkillers because her feet were messed up. I think in the book, she was just popping pills to pop pills. Like, she was just like, is it a Tuesday? I would like to have a little bit of Adderall. That's her business. But yes, Bette still has a very horrible drug issue in the book. But it's less, I think like her like in the show, her family's all aware she's taking drugs. And it seems like no one's really doing anything. Like, Bette needs rehab bad. Like, Bette needs to be in someone's rehab center to get this all fixed up. Next is June. Unlike in the show, Bette and June are not friends. Because in the show, it was made out to believe that Bette and June were best friends. They've been here since the beginning. Bette and June in the book have a respect for each other because they're both are willing to do whatever it takes to get the next girl out so they can have their spot. But beyond that, they're not actually friends. You don't really see them interact more than a handful of times. I do slightly like like book June more than show June, just because I felt like they played too heavy on um, Asian stereotypes with June and made her seem very submissive and meek and weak. Even with like Bet constantly sabotaging her and constantly doing bad things to her, she never really stood up to herself, and she just kind of kept her head down. Like in the first time we meet Bet in June, and Bet like barks at her to come, and she just, okay, bye. Like I really didn't like that. She in this book, though very messed up, was still very strong, and she was very willing to do whatever it took. Now, she never goes as far as Bet, but she still goes pretty far. Like, Gigi gets the role of the Plum Fairy in the Nutcracker, and then she writes on the casting list that like Gigi needs to watch out before she falls, and she does post Gigi's personal medical information, which I will get to when I start talking about Gigi. Like again, she does bad things, but not to the scale of what Bet is doing to people. But she's still not that good of a person. June is also dealing with a very bad eating disorder. I think she said that she weighed she just barely made 100 pounds, which as like a 16-year-old is crazy to me. And I enjoyed being able to watch her deal with it, and you can very much so tell there's no control in her life with dealing with her mother and not knowing who her father is, and her mom wanting her to quit ballet and her wanting to be ballet but always being an understudy and never being the lead. It feels like in no place in her life she has any control except with her eating disorder. That's where she has all control. She maintains how much she weighs, how much she eats. It was very real, very tough to read, but very real. And then we have the reason why June doesn't have any friends, because her ex-roommate spread this nasty rumor that she was a lesbian, because while her roommate was doing her makeup, the roommate kisses June, and then I guess in a way to kind of sweep it on the rug, she tells everybody that June is actually a lesbian. We had this whole section with June and that girl's boyfriend Jay, who was childhood friends with June. And I guess we're supposed to believe that he's always liked her. I'm gonna assume that young June wasn't always this mean, because June is mean. She's mean and she's nasty and she doesn't know how to be friends. Because Gigi goes out of her way to extend a olive branch to June on many occasions, and June always kind of like spits back in her face and is very mean to her, even though Gigi is only but nice. But for some reason, Jay really likes her, and they do this like behind, I think it's San June's back, and if that's her name. I may have just made up a completely different name, and I'm so sorry if I did. But behind her back, they're like meeting up, going to eat at his dad's restaurant. They're like kissing, and I think at the end of the book, we're supposed to assume that he broke up with her. I don't know. Honestly, I wanted to be upset that she was messing with this girl's boyfriend, but I was like, she started rumor you were a lesbian. You should kiss her boyfriend. I'm just saying. You shouldn't do it in real life, but in like a fictional YA book, definitely kiss the girl's boyfriend who says you're a lesbian. Again, I slightly like June, but I don't particularly like June because June's racist. Oh yeah, June's racist. All of the green are the racist moments that stuck out the most to me in this book, and a lot of the time it was from June. Like when she was talking about, hold on, there was another black girl before Gigi, and that black girl was super forgettable, and Gigi got the part because she looks exotic, and that Gigi might think she has it hard, but imagine being half Korean and white, what she has to go through, because she doesn't fit in with the Asian girls, but she also doesn't fit in with the white girls. And I'm like, I know sis is not doing an oppression Olympics at a ballet school. Are you okay? And then when she talked about the fact that she calls Gigi's hair is greasy because she has coconut oil in it. Bitch, you need, oops, sorry. That made me really upset. I don't know why that got to me so bad, because I'm just like, one thing about black people's like natural hair, it ain't never gonna be greasy, baby. In the 22 years I've been on this earth, greasy hair has never been a problem. Because she like this. You like to smell coconut oil? Coconut oil is a scent you can't take? It's racism. If you don't like the scent of coconut oil, you're just racist, baby. It ain't nothing I can do about it. Okay, we're gonna move on to Gigi, because I'm tired of talking about busted ass June and Bet. What terrible people, because unfortunately they have to make an appearance in Gigi's side of the story. Gigi is the only black ballerina at this school, and she faces a lot of racism. Like I said, the things that June said about her when Gigi was cast as the Sugar Plum Fairy and the Nutcracker, one of the things people said about her was that her body was too muscular. This is ballet, a sport that you deeply need your body. So referring to her as too masculine, the constant beratement of her and her talent and her skill. See, this is why I prefer Gigi to Nevaeh, because in the show, the hate for Nevaeh made absolutely no sense, because Nevaeh was dedicated to dance until the 4th episode, and after that, like I said, she became Nancy fucking Drew and was too busy finding out the secrets of the dance academy and like taking them down. Book Gigi had her foot on these bitches' neck in the best way possible. They were nice, nasty, or just straight up mean to her. They were bullying. Gigi got bullied. Okay? Writing on walls about her, posting her medical information. Someone put glass in her point shoes. Like, some serial killer. So, she keeps butterflies, right? Someone went into her room, killed them, and then pinned them to her walls. She was harassed and bullied this entire time at this school, purely because she was the best and she was talented. But on top of that, not only was the best person in that school new, she was also a black girl. And that completely got under their skin, because the idea that the most talented person in the room is a black girl gets on the white girl's skin no matter what. And unlike Nevaeh, Gigi never had to stoop down to those bitches' levels. They were giving her moldy cupcakes with fucking cockroaches. And Gigi just kept getting the lead. She got Alec, and she got the best roles, because she's truly and honestly talented. And that's what I wish we got from Nevaeh in the show. We very briefly talked about whether or not Nevaeh was talented. And then it was all about she's here on scholarship because they needed diversity points. There was no way you could say that about Gigi, because she showed up and she showed out every time. And that's how she truly got under these bitches' skin, because no matter what they did to her, she outshined it. The bullying intensified, her dancing got better. She truly gave these bitches something to hate on. And I love to see it. That the most talented person in the room was a black girl, and a black girl with a heart condition. She was born with a hole in her heart, and that is the medical condition that June had exposed. There's a section of the dance school where people write things about other ballerinas, and people can come in and look at it and stuff like that. And June had posted that, which is a HIPAA violation if I ever heard one. Someone should have been fired for that one. But yeah, Gigi is subjected to some of the most horrible things a person can go to. And it's just like, I very much so appreciate that we not let go of the fact that this hate that Gigi and Nevaeh gets is because of racism. The Netflix show did not fully commit to that. I think we very briefly touched on it when we first meet her. She calls her a rat. You as a white girl call me rat, we gonna fight. And then them making fun of the way that she was doing hip hop dance, and they're making fun of that. I think that was supposed to allude that they were being kind of racist, but we didn't get the full commitment. They fully committed in this book. You can tell that a good portion of the hate for Gigi was because she was a black girl and the most talented person in the room. So this chapter 1 actually starts off in Cassie's point of view. And we meet Cassie, the one who in the show is pushed off the ledge and then is in a coma for the whole season. Here, Cassie is the youngest dancer of her dance level, and she is Alex's cousin here, and not just a dancer from France or London, or whatever. Here, she's from London. She's Alex's cousin, and Will and Bet are her friends. We will later find out that Bet got Will to drop her while they were partner dancing, and she ends up having to leave school because she cracks her hip. Bet needs to be in prison. You didn't just simply twist this girl ankle or maybe like injured her knee. You cracked her entire hip. And then that's pretty much it we hear from Cassie. We don't hear nothing else past the end of the book. Cassie is gone. Alright, it's now Bet's time to reign. But what she was not expecting is a black swan that is Gigi to come out of nowhere and snatch it all up. Took your role and your boyfriend. I know you was sick as hell. I know Bet is sick as hell. Oh, one of the other things that were happening, there's like undercurrents of like, there's like Bet bullying her, and then there's like something else happening. Because on Valentine's Day, when Gigi goes out with Alec, she comes back to the mirror covered with naked pictures of Alec and Bet saying like, I think it was like, are you think he's thinking about her? Something like that. And Bet seems to have no idea how this is happening. So I think there's another person, because Bet and June both say they didn't put the glass in her shoe, and we see from their point of view that they didn't put the glass in her shoe. So there's like an extra person, like the Valentine's Day shit, the glass in her points, and then her ripped up butterflies. There's definitely someone like in the background doing shit that we have not seen yet. Another character that because I only like two characters in this whole book, and it was Gigi and it was Alec. Alec was far much more likable in the book than the show. In the show, they try to do the whole him and Will, he's like bisexual but he's not open, that whole thing. He's just in the book a little dumb. Like, he's unaware that Bet's a demon, and he's just very sweet, very likable. I think Alec and Gigi's relationship is far better paced and like done way better than Alex and Vase in the show. That relationship just kind of came out of nowhere, and I was just confused. And now I know it was just here because it was in the book, versus like from the moment we meet Gigi, she talks about the fact that she has like a little crush on Alec, that like he was the first person that came and talked to her after she was good, after she needed anything. So they've always had a form of like they always had a little relationship. So them ended up getting feelings for each other and then dating makes far more sense here than it did in the show, because it was like they were dance partners like in the book, but they only danced together that we saw like once or twice. And then they were like dating and they had feelings for each other, even though she kissed Cassie's boyfriend. Like, it was just weird and it made no sense. Here in the book, it made 1,000 times more sense. Okay, so here's part of the book, because the book ends on a cliffhanger, right? Gigi gets pushed into the street and she's hit by a car. I got my tinfoil hat. She's tingling. I have some ideas. One, there is a dance instructor. Like, he's like the head teacher, Mr. K. I think Mr. K and Eleanor, one of Bet's friends, are like having an affair. And I think that's because Bet says that Mr. K and her sister had a little thing going on back when she was at the school, right? There's that. And then throughout the whole book, Eleanor is mad sneaky. She's hiding text messages and phone calls. She's like, Eleanor is one of Bet's little lackeys, but she's like straying away a little bit, and then like Bet and her get the laundry done together, and when she's like separating them, she's finding like lingerie amongst Eleanor's stuff. And like when Bet brings up the fact that she tried to seduce Mr. K and that Mr. K used to try to mess with her sister, Eleanor got super defensive. Like, she got super duper defensive. So my little tin hat thinks that the new girl that Mr. K is like smashing on the side is Eleanor. And I'm gonna start reading Shiny Pretty Things, or Shiny, whatever the second book is. What is the second book called? Hold on. Shiny Broken Pieces. Once I start reading Shiny Broken Pieces, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out. Because I think that's what's happening in here. That's the undercurrent. Also, I think, so like, Cassie's boyfriend here is a different name than in the show. His name here is Henry. I think, like, the Valentine's Day shit that went down, the glass in her point shoes, and the butterflies, I think that's Henry and Cassie working together and then pushing her into the street, because he pops up out of nowhere. Because during that whole like segment of them going to the club and partying, I don't hear the mention of Henry until after Gigi gets pushed, and then him saying that Bet did it. And while everyone else is crying and sobbing like, oh my gosh, she got hit by a car, he's smiling. And he's just like, Bet did it. So I think he's working with Cassie to make sure all the competition is gone, so Cassie could come back and take her spot as a queen bee. Because that was like the thing from the show, that just because Cassie was getting bullied and she was in a coma and all that stuff did not mean that she was innocent and she was a sweet, nice girl. So I think maybe they got that from the book. And I think that Henry and Cassie were working together to torment Gigi and then frame Bet. So now we can get both top girls out. Because at the end of the book, so this is why June is a fucking demon. Because Gigi gets hit by the car and she's excited. Because now she gets to play the lead. And she gets to be Giselle in the play. And she does her part, she does her bow, right? And then Cassie's walked back on stage and she's being welcomed back into the school. So I think that Henry has been like manipulating everything behind the scenes for Cassie, because she wants revenge for what happened to her. Because again, they dropped her and her hip cracked. They cracked her hip. So I think little tinfoil hat, that he has been tormenting Gigi extra and then framed Bet. And now they're both gone. And now Cassie can just stroll back into school with no competition in sight. So, listen, if you've read Broken, where's my book? What's the other book called? Broken Tiny Pieces? What you called? Shiny Broken Pieces? Don't tell me. But if you've only read this book, do you agree with me? Do you think behind the scenes they're like pulling the strings? Okay, so that's it for my review. Tell me if you've read the book. Which do you like better, the book or the show? I personally like the book better, but I feel, because honestly, the show feels like fan fiction. Like, it's in the same universe as everything, but it's two separate entities. Like, we got some of the same characters, and then like Nevaeh is like an original character who they put in Gigi's spot. You know what I mean? Is that just me who feels that way? That the show just feels like poorly written fan fiction? Because this book is so good. This book is actually so good. And I finished it and I was like, I need to do this video now so I can start reading the second book, so I don't get any of that in this review. But tell me what you think if you've actually read the book. What other books did you want to see me review? Leave all that in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.